Is there no one here?
I'm here.
Hey, Brandon.
Hey. Do we know if who's running this show today?
Should be Jesse and Heather. Oh, there he is.
Looking for me?
I am. Are you using your cool microphone?
Oh, yeah, you want to see?
Yeah.
Here it is.
That's the best.
Welcome to Sunday Night Slow Jams. How's the audio? Does it sound okay?
It's a great day at Keller Williams. This is
Rude phone calls. How's it going, everybody? We'll get started here in just a moment as a few more people jump on, okay?
Okie dokie.
All right. How's it going, everybody? Let's go ahead and get started here. I got a few new names here and participating today. Well, welcome, everybody. I'm happy you're here. So today, according to what we have on our calendar here, we are going to be covering creating Docusign rooms in Command. Kind of touched on it. So we're going to go ahead and reinforce what we did last week in terms of going and starting this all up. Okay, so if we're going to keep adding to the trainings every week. Okay, so we're just going to add an extra step to the process every time we go. All right. I can't see anybody, so I'll have to hear you guys. How many of you are actually using Docusign and Docusign rooms and compliance already? Who started using it so far?
I'm starting to pull some things together.
I'm having an issue with a couple that's in there, and his name shows up for both of them, even though I have them entered separately. So
Okay, that's going to be a one-off thing, Mara. We're going to have to touch base on that outside of the class, okay?
sure.
Okay. Anybody else have any experience so far?
I've been using it, Jesse.
Okay, awesome. And what are your thoughts so far?
Pretty good, pretty in depth.
Yeah, it can get pretty in depth there. You can do as much or as little as you want to in this thing, so it's pretty cool. All right, so let's go ahead and get rolling here. So what I have here is my favorite example, Mr. Bugs Bunny. This guy is buying a lot of property for me over the last few weeks. So we're going to go ahead and start from square one, which is not really square one, but we're going to begin an opportunity for him, okay? So we're going to go ahead, and if y'all can see, I'm in his contact card. Does everybody recognize this card?
Yep.
Perfect. This is actually what's required. You need to have at least a contact card created with the minimum information of it being the first and last name. Okay, before you can even proceed or do anything else, if you want to create the opportunity, you want to get paid for the deal, anything like that, you're going to need to have at least a contact created. Okay. How in depth you want to get with your contact is up to you. And teams will vary a little bit with the process, but generally the process will be the same for everybody. Okay. All right. So we got Mr. Bugs Bunny here, and he wants to buy a place. Let's go ahead and begin an opportunity. So what I did there was I just went to the right side of the screen and selected opportunities. Are y'all eating right now? Is that why all the cameras are off?
You said you couldn't see us anyway.
Well, I can see you. I can't see you because the cameras are off.
Okay.
So I can see Jody and I can see Teresa so far. Everyone else is camera out. Jim says yes. Y'all are eating. Okay. Okay, cool. So I'll need y'all to at least give me like a little hand raise or something in the
Mhm.
in the chat there, just letting me know that you're all on board here, or at least unmute yourself so I can hear. Okay. Okay. So back to opportunities. We're going to begin by clicking this button right here. You'll notice that within command that there are certain things that are not really evident as being a selectable item.
Hey, Jesse,
Mhm.
Yes.
what button did you just click? You said
Uh,
button right here.
This button right here.
Opportunities.
Opportunity.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Uh-huh. So can everybody see my little homing thing on
Yeah.
my cursor?
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's
I'll be using that a lot today. All right. So before I click it, I want to make sure, boom, this is where I'm clicking.
All right.
If you have your videos up and all that stuff, you might want to move it to the side so you can see my entire screen. Okay. Because the videos will block part of it. Okay. Depending on how you have your Zoom set up. All right. So we're going to click on create opportunity. By doing so, it'll pop up this window here. Okay. If you're on a team, select your team. If you're not on a team, continue on. And it'll just be blacked out here. It won't let you do anything with it. Now, the recommendation is if you are on a team, there are a couple settings that you should turn on because all your team members should have everything on the team opportunity board. Okay. So every team member should be selecting the team name. So the transaction coordinator can see it, so the rainmaker can see it, and everything can be tracked that way. Okay. We're going to go ahead and make this a buyer opportunity just for the sake of demonstration here. All right. So you'll notice that we have required fields. We have an asterisk, a red little asterisk. Can everybody see that?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Those are all the required fields that we need to get this opportunity to roll in. Okay. Now, by default, you're going to see your opportunities named here as last name, listing, or buyer. Everybody get that?
Mhm.
Okay. So it's going to depend. If you have a listing, change the opportunity to the address of the listing and then hyphenate it with the seller's last name. Okay. Once you have a property that the buyer wants to work with or actually purchase, you're going to want to change that opportunity name to that address. Okay. And that'll make it a lot simpler for our compliance officers to find this specific file. Okay. And we'll want to keep it as easy as possible. All right. So the next couple required items here are commission rate. This doesn't have to be 100% accurate. It could just be a placeholder for now. Typically what we're seeing out there is between 2.5% and 3% right now for commissions on buyers. It can vary. Just put in 3, whatever you feel comfortable with. And we're going to need an opportunity phase and stage. Okay. Now, being that we're moving ahead with this and we're going to actually use some documentation, we're going to want our opportunity phase to reflect the same. Okay, where we're at. So cultivate, these are people that we're still trying to get an appointment with. Okay. Let's move this over to appointment. And let's change the opportunity stage right here to scheduled. Okay. Everybody see that? Those two things should look like that if you're wanting to get right into creating the documentation for this opportunity. All right. The last thing you need to enter in there is, or actually not enter, but click is the create opportunity button. Once you do that, you'll notice you have an opportunity listed for your client. All right. Everybody with me so far?
Yeah.
Okay. Got an affirmative from Teresa. Anybody else?
Absolutely.
All right. Brandon chimed in there. Okay, good. All right. So the next step that we're going to do is we're going to jump right into this opportunity right from the contact form. Now, you don't have to do this every single time you want to access the opportunity, although you could. There's another way for you to find your opportunity, and it's going to be over here to the left in the opportunities applet. Okay. So I'm going to open this up in a new tab, just so you can see. This is what your opportunities panel looks like. Okay, so teams, all your team opportunities will show up here. Okay. Individual opportunities, like for myself, since my team is brand new, I haven't put anything into that section yet, but all my opportunities are here.
So
Okay.
Jesse,
Yes.
when you're part of a team, only the team leader sees everyone, right? We only have a choice to see our own. Is that correct?
Yes, that's true. So
Okay.
you can see your own or whatever opportunity you have been assigned.
Got it.
Okay. So for teams, oh, somebody have a question? Nope. Okay. So yeah, there's a difference. There is a difference on how things will show up. So let's actually show what that looks like. So let me find Bugs here. Here he is. Here's his opportunity. Let me do that again. Everybody see what I did? So I have my panel open of all my opportunities, and I remembered that I had this set under appointment. So I clicked on the appointment opportunity phase. And then I remembered we had it under scheduled stage, and that's where I was able to find that opportunity. Okay. All right. So this actually would need to be on a team if I did that. This team would say the team name, and then there would be a separate option here for assignees. Let me show you what that looks like real quick, just for the sake of this demonstration. So I am going to be under the team. Here's the team opportunities. I'm just going to, this is another way to create an opportunity for you admin. If you want to do it this way, you can do it. So I'm going to select Bugs again. All right, it's going to be this one. And there's a team listing the owner. You'll notice down here, it says assignees. It has me right there as an assignee. And if I wanted to add a team member to this, all I have to do is click that drop down and select the appropriate team member. Okay. And then get the commission rate in there, make sure that the appointment's in the right place, and everything else is filled out. Oh, make that a buyer. Okay. This is what the team will look like. Everybody see that? For those of us that are on teams or have teams? Crickets? Okay. So team is populated. The owner is populated. So the Rainmaker will be, if the Rainmaker generates the lead, the Rainmaker will be the owner of this. The Rainmaker will then assign the opportunity to a specific team member. Okay. By default, it's going to have the owner listed, and then the drop down, what you select, and then you select the next person that needs to be assigned to this opportunity. Okay.
Now,
And then we're going to hit create. Yes, Brendan?
now, if I'm putting in a lead, and I list it as a team, and Tracy's the owner, do I need to list her as well as a assignee? Like if I'm data entering my own lead, but it's still a team lead, for example.
So it's still a team lead. Yeah, Tracy would still be the owner, and you could accept that. You can. There would be a way to select that. Since I am my own Rainmaker at this point, it shows that it only has me, right? So you would just make the adjustments appropriately for yourself.
But does she get to see it if it's just listed there, or does she have to be an assignee as well?
She can see it. However, it might be a good idea to assign it anyway, just in case. These things can be. I see a head shake there.
Jesse?
I don't think he wants to assign it to Tracy because then it goes to her. He needs to be the one, he's working it. So it'll already be in the team because everything Brandon does is in the team.
Right. So notice how I don't go anywhere. I'm creating this. I'm still there, right? And I assign my wife to this one. So we're both here. We both have access to this opportunity as well. This Rainmaker will by default have access to all the opportunities.
Right.
But yeah, it's a redundancy if you do that.
Gotcha. Is
Does
it
the transaction manager have to be added as an assignee?
The transaction manager would need to be set up within command in order for the transaction manager to have access to it. But yes, you can assign the transaction manager to the opportunity as well.
So Vanessa, have you met with Heather to set yours up as the transaction manager for the Jones team?
Heather and I have met. My status shows as like an admin for the Jones team.
Okay, so then you're already within command.
Oh, yeah, she used to be RTC. To pay her 1099.
So Lauren, sounds like you have multiple devices with mic activated. Choose one as a primary and mute the volume on the other device as well, so you don't have that kind of feedback.
So another question on the assignee. So let's say I was working with a buyer and then I wanted to assign it to another person on our buyer's team, like Jenna, for example. I would just add her as an assignee and then she's got access to this.
Yeah, she would need to be assigned to it to have access.
Perfect.
Okay. All right, so I think we got that covered pretty well. Let's go ahead and create this opportunity and show what it looks like. Okay, so we have 2 assignees on this, right? That's a good thing. We want to see that. See that there? Under assignees, we have the 2. Perfect. Okay, so we're at this point. There are a couple things here that I want to just go over real quick. If you want information to sync over to Docusign rooms, it's very limited as to what that information is. Let me explain. So Bugs Bunny here, you'll notice that his little contact card is right here. If I click on it, we have a phone number and we have an email address, okay, along with a name. Does everybody see that? These are the only bits of information that will transfer to Docusign rooms. Okay, this is it. Of the buyer information you have, these are the only elements that do transfer over. The other elements that might transfer over is the property here. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and add a property. Okay, and there's the address that I want to use. You'll notice that all the required spaces populate. I'm going to hit save. All right, so now we know what address we're working with for this opportunity. Other things I want to point out, whether you're using commands 100% for your own business or not, this is a good thing to know. If you want to track your numbers a certain way. See this little pencil right here, guys? I'm going to click that. And this will allow us to edit whatever we need to for this opportunity. Say, for example, I didn't need my wife attached to this as an assignee. I can remove her from that. Or I can remove myself from that. I can also manipulate any tags for these opportunities and any other piece of information that is white. All the gray information, that can be changed. All right, we don't have access to change that. Okay.
Okay.
Now let me explain these date boxes down here. These date boxes will actually be reported on in your opportunities reports in the report section of command. Okay. So we had, say for example, I scheduled an appointment with Bugs. That was yesterday. I scheduled the appointment. The date for us meeting is today. I won that agreement today. I'm adding that date. And we go out and show a house today and I win it, like we get under contract today. That's how I would enter in that information. Okay. So the day that you scheduled the appointment, the day the appointment's supposed to be on, when you won your listing or buyer agreement is right here. And then once you have it under contract, you put that date there. Okay. What about these other dates? Well, once you have something under contract, you have an estimated close date, right? So we can just go in here and we can enter in that estimated close date. That's done there. The close date itself, you don't have to do it because as you move your card along, your opportunity card along through your opportunities, you will find that once you hit close, this date will automatically populate once you move this card to the close. Well, let me show you.
Yeah,
So I'm going to hit save on this one.
that close, if you put a close date in there, then sometimes that card moves and you didn't want it to move.
Yeah, right. So I'm going to, here's the regular dashboard from opportunities. Here's that appointment that we talked about. This card can move between the different stages and phases. Okay. Everybody see that?
Mm-hmm.
If I drag this over to closed, right over here, you'll notice that it's selected because it's a different shade of the selected color of the card. Does everybody see that?
Yeah.
Okay, so I move it there, and I go to closed, and I click on the three dots to open it, or I can click on the name here. You'll notice that the close date populated right there. It auto-populated. Okay, so you don't want to do that. It's one of the only dates that auto-populates in this section. To remove it, all you got to do is take the card, move it back where it belongs. All right. Go ahead and edit this. And you'll notice the close date is gone. When you move it out of that stage or phase, rather, it will eliminate that corresponding date. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So glad I got that little piece covered for you guys. Just a little thing on how this system works. Okay, so we're ready to go. We got everything. We have all the dates that we need. I'm going to eliminate this contract date here. I'm going to, if it lets me. Doesn't look like it is. That's fine. We'll continue on. I'm going to go ahead and click on documents. Everybody see this?
Yeah.
Okay, documents. Here's where we're at. I want to start a transaction for this. Now, the reason if you have this already hooked up, which you should because we covered that last week, and if not, you'll want to touch base with either myself or with Heather to get you connected to your Docusign Rooms account. But if you just have one, you'll notice that this box does not show up. This drop down does not show up. Presently, I have .loop hooked up to this. You can do it, but why at this point? It's going away. Okay. So Docusign will be the choice. So when you click start a transaction, by default, it'll go to the only option you have, which will be Docusign. Now for Teams, check this out. You always have a primary and you always have a secondary agent on your purchase contracts, right? I see some nods. Anybody agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. Now the order will vary depending on who it is, right? So buyer 1 is required. Buyer 2 can also be there. Okay. So by doing it this way, these two agents will have access to this room that's about to be created. Okay. So even though I'm the one creating it and I'm creating it from my Docusign room account, Stephanie here will have access to this specific room in her Docusign rooms account. Okay. Everybody see that?
Yeah.
So you're going to want to connect your Rainmaker to it, right? Or if you're an independent agent and you're co-working something with another agent, this is how you would do it too. However, if you're an independent agent, it's going to be done specifically only on the paperwork side and not within Command. Does that make sense? Because you can't select someone you're working with within Command because you're not a team and they're not associated with you. That partnership is not recognized officially by the Market Center. Okay, everybody get that?
Yeah.
Cool. So for teams, this is the way to look. If you're working it by yourself, you just won't have this option. It'll just be the one, right? It'll just be you. Okay. And we're going to go ahead and click on confirm and sync. I'm going to adjust my screens here a second. 1 second here. Okay, confirm and sync. All right. And what it does is it automatically directs you to Docusign Rooms. Enter in your login credentials. And there you go. Now you're in that room. The way that you can verify that everybody involved in this transaction is actually attached to this room is right here in the people section. Everybody see that?
Mm-hmm.
If you click on that, you'll notice, oh, look, there's an agent owner in here. The two transferred over. Okay. Now, TCs, this is going to be important for you. Okay. And as last week, there was a little glitch that I was noticing. Hopefully it's been resolved. If not, I'll let you know when it has been resolved. Under the invite portion, if you click that, you can begin entering an email address for your transaction coordinator, right? So in my case, mine is Jill. There she is. Aha, it's been fixed. Wonderful. So I'm going to go transaction side here, and I'm going to go buy side. And you'll notice here on the permission side, it automatically chose agent owner. Okay. That means that I'm giving access to my transaction coordinator this room. I'm giving her access to this room specifically. Okay. Has to be agent owner for this to work. So Vanessa, I know I see Jill on here too. That's how it'll work for you guys. Okay. So then you click invite. And now we have everyone that needs to be involved with this. So I have myself, my buyer's agent, my transaction coordinator attached to this, and we're good to go, at least in terms of who's involved with this. Now, some people would be like, oh, do I need to invite my clients and stuff like that to this? No, you don't have to. Okay, you don't have to. That's not a requirement. So I'm going to go over here to the details section. Okay, now that we've verified the corresponding people are here, I'm going to go to the details section. And I'm just going to look to see if any information transferred over. Okay, so I'm going to look for buyers, things like that. Buyer 1 didn't show up there. What about agents? Anything with agents? Nope, nothing showed up. Okay, that's okay. Don't worry. I'm going to go to the tab right next to it and go right back to the document section. Do y'all see this button right here?
Mm-hmm.
It says sync transaction. I'm going to select that. And I'm going to make sure that it's all right. Buyer 1, buyer 2. Confirm and sync. Okay. I'm going to give it a few seconds. I'm coming back to Docusign Rooms. And I'm going to refresh this window. Let's see. Let's see if we got any new information in here. Yep, there we go. There's buyer's information here. There's bugs. Contact information came through. The exact information, right?
Mm-hmm.
Over here, I have address. I have other pieces of information, but it's exactly what I described, and that it's the specific items and the opportunity that you see, right? So over here. That's it. That's all that transfers over. All right, let's continue on. So there's no buyer 2, there's buyer agent 1. Hey, look, that's me. And there's my buyer's agent. Wonderful. You're going to want to edit this information. Does everybody see what this shows right here?
Yeah. Keller Williams Realty.
Yeah. Is that what our company is called?
Nope.
Nope, we got to edit that. So see this big edit button right here in blue? We're going to edit that. And we're going to come down here and we're going to select. We're going to enter in Southern Arizona. Okay. Fill out the rest of the information. I like that it's in this order here because you'll need to select the country before you select the state. On another portion of this, you'll find that it's reversed and you're like, well, what the heck? I can't access the state. well, enter in the country first, and then the state will be available, right? Do that for all parties involved. Okay. Make sure that's there. So transaction coordinators, be sure to check out this information so that the forms reflect the correct company, because that is important.
Jesse, is there a way we can change all of this on like a main template so that each time we start a new transaction, we don't have to go back and redo all that?
Well, yes and no. Yes, in that there are templates that are there. However, that's for a different class because it gets kind of complex.
All right, sorry.
But for now, just
Okay.
go in here and edit it.
Okay.
I wish it would be different, but we got to remember who owns this account, which is Keller Williams Realty Inc. Right?
Yeah.
Every agent across the country has to make the same edit.
Okay.
Okay. Just like .loop, you're entering in the exact same information. Zip forms, if you're familiar with that, you're still entering all this information in. Okay. Now, location here, you're going to enter in the address that we had chosen and the opportunity. Sometimes you'll notice that this will transfer over, which is wonderful. Other times you don't, but regardless, it's going to need to be entered in anyway. Okay.
Does it transfer over if you're building it as a listing instead of a buyer profile?
It functions the same on either side.
Okay.
Yeah, so just verify the information. And the reason why I'm filling this out is when it gets to a document, it'll show up.
Okay.
Right? So all this information that I'm entering in here will show up on the document in the corresponding field on that form.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So fill everything out as completely as you can, and that's fine. You do the typing here, so you don't have to do the typing later. Okay, so I'm going to click save now. And we got our basics. We got our basics in. Okay. All right, so accessing the documents. We're going to go ahead and click on to documents here. And I want to add a document to this. I want to add a consultation package to this. Okay. So I know that the buyer consultation documentation consists of how many forms?
Got the wire fraud. You have
That's
the
one.
ABA.
2.
You have the buyer purchase agreement.
Nope, not for a consultation.
Oh, okay. Affiliated business.
Yep, you had said that.
Oh, I already did. Okay.
So we also have our READ, the Real Estate Agency and Disclosure and Election Form.
Yep.
We also have the buyer advisory.
Yes.
And we have the buyer broker exclusive employment agreement. Right? So
yeah,
I know I need 5.
Yeah, that's the one I was trying to say, the buyer.
Okay, gotcha. So we're going to go here. So once you have everything connected, and if you don't, again, we're going to have to get that connected for you. We're going to go ahead and select Docusign Forms here. And what this will produce is this window. And we're going to select the corresponding or the correct library, which is right here, which is where all of our docs are found. Okay. So we have AAR. We have Armless for those of us that have that affiliation up there. KW 495 or 861. This is where your ABA is going to be found. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
MLSSAZ, it's going to have all our Melissa specific forms, and TAR, our specific association forms. Okay. So most of our forms are going to be housed here in the Arizona Association of Realtors. All I'm going to do is type in buyer real quick. And you'll notice that it filtered it out a little bit, right? Anything that has buyer in the name is here. Okay. So like I mentioned, buyer advisory is there. I had buyer broker exclusive agreement. That's 2. The other one that's required is the READ. There it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And oh, look, wire fraud advisory. So I got 4 out of 5 on this one, going right through.
Is the market
Four-
conditions there too?
I'm sorry?
Is the market conditions advisory there too?
Market condition advisory is found within the buyer advisory.
Okay.
So is the wire fraud. It's in there as well, but we have a separate form for that.
Okay.
Okay. So we're going to click add before I move on to any other libraries. So there's add. And they'll populate here. Boom, there they are. I still have one more that I need to add. So I'm going to go back to add, select DocuSign Forms. And I took care of 4 of the 5 in the AAR library, so I know the last one is under KW495. And there's where we'll find the ABA, or it'll say KW861. Either case, you'll find that ABA. And then we just add it. Okay?
Mhm.
Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Now what we're going to do is we're going to verify some information on these forms. You can click into each of these forms individually and make any edits that you need. So
Jesse, I'm having an issue with the agency form for some reason.
you're having an issue with the agency form?
Yes, the boxes at the bottom, the system won't let you check them.
Oh, when you do this, yeah, that's not going to allow you to check the boxes here in this section. That'll be
Okay.
done later. So you'll notice like things that can be checked off are actually circled, right?
Yeah.
So here's the read. So some things you can check out here, right? You can check that off and you can manipulate most things. Here, let me just open up that specific form so we know what you're referring to.
Towards the bottom, you know, the solar.
So here's the read down here.
Yeah, those 4.
Yeah, you can't check the boxes from this section here.
Now, I set it for the client to check, and it comes back unchecked that way also.
If you haven't set for the client to check, it won't check it unless you require it. But that's on a later portion of this, and we're not
Okay,
there
sorry.
yet. Okay.
Also, Jesse, remind everybody down there at the bottom, line 45, you need to select the correct agency. There's 2 forms, one for a buyer and one for a seller. And Jesse selected the buyer one and it's already pre-checked. So just make sure that you select the right agency form for your buyer or your seller.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's imperative that you select the correct form because when it comes to signature templates, it will place everything in the right places for your buyer, right? So let me show you what that looks like here in a bit. So I'm going to make sure that all this information is here. So Keller Williams, Arizona, acting through me. Or vice versa, whatever it needs to be. Okay. I'm going to go ahead, so we know the name's right. We're going to save that one. Double check the buyer broker, make sure all the information there is correct. All right, so I'm going to click that and click that. Everybody has different information. Okay, everything else looks fine. Da, 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 da. I'm not going to do the rest. I want to go to the next part. Okay, so the next part. We're going to want these all to be signed, right? So the next portion that I'm going to go to is envelopes. Did everybody see that?
Okay.
Okay. So I'm clicking envelopes. The envelope is required in order to send any of the documents that I have in the room that I require a signature on. So I'm going to click on new. You'll notice that I'm going to click on that new button a lot. It's in a lot of different areas of DocuSign rooms. Okay, so clicking on new, it'll take me to this new page here. Now what I want to do is select specific docs. So I'm going to click on this room docs. Everybody see that?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm selecting that. And I only have 5 forms in here. So I'm going to select each and every one of them. Okay. And now I'm going to add selected. Okay. Once everything finishes loading, the next thing that you're going to need to do is add recipients to the room. Now there's a great way to make this easy for you. And the way you do that is come down here to add recipient. Click that drop down. You'll notice you have 3 options: pre-tagged roles, room participants, and email address. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I highly recommend you use pre-tagged roles. Okay. Highly recommend it, because this will actually place the correct initials and signatures or anything else required by the buyer in that specific area of the form. It'll place it. Okay.
Woohoo.
So pre-tagged roles. Yeah, right. So no more having to drag specific little things and add them to your form. You can just make the edits as you go. Okay. Pre-tagged roles. Once you click that, make sure to check the corresponding box next to it. Okay. So we want this. We're going to select Bugs Bunny. And you'll notice that I didn't invite Bugs Bunny to the room. It was not required that I did that, but you'll notice that the contact information is there. Everybody see that?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I'm going to select that. There's no buyer too, so I'm going to skip that. And you'll notice that it's by form. Buyer advisory, buyer broker, buyer broker. I don't know why I chose seller on this part. It's not required on that part, but anyway, we'll select manager, and manager will be,
I don't know that one.
will be me there.
Just so you know, I can
And I'm
help
going to
if you
click
ever
add
misplace
selected.
your phone. Try asking me to call your phone.
Okay. So there we go. I want to add someone else. Actually, I don't even need to sign this if I'm on a team. Just leave it. All right, so add recipient. Someone didn't show up. My transaction coordinator didn't show up. That's fine. I'm going to click on room recipients, and I'm going to select my transaction coordinator there. And here's what's important. So transaction coordinators, when you're helping your agents do this stuff, or agents, when you're setting this up and when people receive things, be mindful of the receiving order. Everybody see this? 1, 1, 1. Everybody see that?
Uh-huh.
That's your signing order, or the order in which that next person will receive it. So I definitely want Bugs to receive this as 1. I'll receive this as 2, and it just switches on you. It's not going to keep it in the same place. And I'm going to make this one for my transaction coordinator say 3, right? And it'll reorder it. You guys see that? So 1, 2, 3. My transaction coordinator doesn't need to sign, so I'm going to make sure that it just says receives a copy. Okay? So transaction coordinators, make sure that this is the way it looks. Okay, I got everything done, right? So we got the right people selected. Here we go. You guys ready? Next step. We're going to click on next. Okay, and you'll notice on the right-hand side, it gives me a little preview of what that doc looks like, right? Everybody see that?
Yeah.
Check it out. See this little flag right here? That means that there's a required action. So I'm going to click on that page, and there it is. There's a signature for Bugs. It's already been placed.
Awesome.
Nice. Hey, Jesse, prior to this step, can you put the documents in the order that you want?
You absolutely can, yeah. So if I go back, it'll take me back to the envelope. right? So typically, even for me, what I would like to do is I want to make, I'm glad you asked, because I'm going to put this over here. I'm going to then talk about this, and then I'm going to talk about buyer advisory, perfect, and then I'm going to order it this way so that they see the read first, and then last they'll see the disclosure or the employment agreement. Yeah, you can definitely order it. Cool,
Yeah,
right?
that's a similar order to what I do.
Cool. Yeah. Some people have it's an easier flow, right? I think it is anyway.
Yeah.
One will lead right into the others in a way, depending on how you frame it. Okay, so let's go back to where we were. Right into the next, and you'll notice that that reordering is updated, right? So there we go. We see that. Wait a minute, there's not a name on this one. What happened? It's okay. See this over here? I'm just gonna bring this over here, put that there. And when the person, or when Bugs Bunny receives this, it'll automatically say Bugs Bunny in there. No worries. If I don't want to add a date here, because it's down here, date signed, it's not the same thing, and I just want to type it out, I can. So here's a little text button right here. I'm going to bring this over here, place it there. Now, I want to bring your attention to the right. Did everybody see this section over here?
What?
Yeah.
Okay. If you have it set to required field, it means that Bugs needs to do something with it. It's just the date. I'm going to enter this in right now. So why do I need to do that? Why does he need to do that? So there you go. Uncheck that as a required field. You'll notice that it turned white. Everybody see that?
Uh-huh.
And I don't need him to manipulate anything, so I'm going to make this read only. Okay. All right. And I'm just going to put in the date. And that's it. Okay.
How do you delete once you've set up something like an initial or signature? How do you get it to be removed?
Easy. You just right click on it and select delete.
Not on a Mac.
Oh, Mac. On Windows, it right click and it deletes. Oh, it's okay. You can just select the correct field, right? And you'll notice way at the bottom on the right hand side, there's a delete button. You just have extra steps for Mac users. Or not extra steps, but just different ways of doing it. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and move on to the next form. We can just continue to scroll down. It's not perfect in the placement, so if you like it to look pretty, you know, just put your boxes in the right places. I'm OCD in that way, so I'm gonna do that.
I'm glad I'm not the only one.
No, not in the slightest. So remember when I said to change your brokerage name in your detail section? It's because of this right here. It has to reflect the correct company. If this said Keller Williams Realty Inc., it's not a good form. We want it to say the correct brokerage information. Correct, Jody? That's an affirmative. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. All right, so we're here back at the wire fraud advisory. We've got that. Okay, we can collapse these, which is nice. Let's go to the buyer advisory, and rather than me scroll to every single page, all 13 pages of it, I'm just gonna go to the bottom one, make sure that the signature is in the right space. It looks good. It's got the right kind of spacing that I like. Okay, cool. Continue to scroll on. We're moving on to a different form now. So here's that real estate agency and disclosure and election form, right? So Tim, you still on here? See this? It's pre-populated.
Yeah, I'm here. So,
There are your check boxes. This is where you manipulate it.
oh, okay.
Okay. So we know that the middle one isn't going to be okay for us on this because we're representing a buyer in this case. So we're going to go ahead and, for those of us with Windows, right click and delete, or for our Mac users, just click delete. Okay, and it removes that box from that corresponding checkbox. Now, how do we check the box, right? That's one question that I get a lot. Click in it, you just select one, spacebar. Click in it, spacebar. and it adds that.
A tricky space bar.
Yeah. You know, so you'll notice that sometimes these signature boxes are a little oversized and they kind of go over things. You see these little circles on the corners? You can resize it to make it look nice if you want to. Pretty cool, right? So here's the other box that Jody was talking about. I can't edit this field right here because it was already checked by default on the template because this is a read buyer, right? So we don't have to worry about that. So just make sure you select the correct form, just to reiterate. Okay, the last form that we need to see is, let me collapse this one, is the buyer broker. And we'll notice on this end, oh, wait a minute, something's not right here. Here's Jesse. And you'll notice the corresponding signers are a different color, right? It's always going to be the first signer's yellow, second signer's blue, third is purple, and I haven't seen what fourth or fifth looks like, but I assume they're different colors too. Let's edit this. So this isn't where it needs to go. So maybe I made the wrong selection, right? Maybe I selected the wrong pre-tagged role. Does that make sense? I think it does. So I'm not done yet. So I can just eliminate these, kind of fixes it a little bit. So I'm going to delete this here. I don't need that. I'm just going to scooch this one up to right there. And I'm going to bring this signature box over and add it there. Do you notice how this box is way smaller than that box? It keeps that resize that you had previously done. Right, so I fixed the size of the box on the read and it kept the size, so it makes it consistent. So Amber, OCD-ness kicking in, consistency's right there.
So I actually was trying to do a transaction last week, and did something get refreshed or anything? Because this is not how my experience went.
No, it just hasn't been trained yet. We haven't trained yet. This is the first time I've trained on pre-tagged roles in Docusign.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, brand new for most everybody, I would imagine. Okay, so we're done assigning our roles. Pretty cool, right? That wasn't so hard. Wait a minute, I don't have dates here. If you've already had, if you're doing virtual things and you had a virtual conversation with your client, say that, Teresa at this point is Bugs Bunny. And I said, hey, Bugs, we're going to begin this agreement today and we're going to go 12 months. Is that okay with you?
Sure.
All right, cool. So now I'm going to go in here and I'm going to add these boxes for the date because they're not there. This isn't valid unless it has a time. Right, Jody?
Right.
So I'm going to add these here and they're not required to be filled out. I'm just going to make these both read only. And then again, I'm just going to add the dates, right? So, ta-da, ta-da. And now it's complete, right? If there's anything that you missed from the previous field entry side of this whole thing, you can just drag your little text box and add a specific piece to it.
Hey, Jesse,
Yes.
remind everybody on line 28, the amount of compensation shall be. For time's sakes, Jesse just quickly types 3%, but you need to know 3% of what? So it's 3% of sales price.
Yep.
Or anything else that you're going to be receiving. So, but just remember, 3% of sales price. Otherwise, it could be 3% of a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah, thank you for pointing that out there. Yeah, you got to be clear, guys. Don't want to be ambiguous. You want to be ambiguous. Wait, is that the right word? I don't know. We'll go with it. I heard it on The Big Bang Theory, so we'll just leave it alone. Anyway, yeah, that's a good point. Thank you so much. Other things that you can add in here, you guys notice that I don't have the address here or phone number filled in for the client. Say I didn't know it. I've just been Zooming. I just had an email address, so that's all I have at this point. You can make it required for your client to fill out this form, right? So they'll see it, and they can enter in their address right there. And then you can have them fill in their phone number there. right? It's yellow and it's required. Does everybody see that?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's that. Do I have any questions at this point as we near wrap up?
Well, as you put on 174, you put a text box for the street. We would have to put a text box for the city and the state and zip code, right? 3 separate text boxes.
You don't have to.
Yeah? Oh, okay.
No, just leave it all right in one. It's all in the corresponding line. And if you notice, most of the, well, a lot of the other form suites, if you will, that we have out there, like transaction desk or zip forms, other stuff, some will place it specifically over where it says. Others have, they give no craps about it, and it's just one thing. It's up to you. It's up to you on how you want to do that.
We just have to make it large enough so that it can get enough characters.
Yeah, enough space. So like, yeah, we can, yeah, your choice is your choice. You can go here up until right there for their street name. You can add another text box for that. And however you like to do it there, Teresa, it's all up to you. As long as you have the correct information.
All right.
Right?
I have a question whenever you finish.
Go for it.
I know that they were talking about putting different folders underneath command, like as far as like a listing, a buyers, or like residential, a, you know, those different, I forgot what Heather called them.
Yeah, they're here. They're here. Let me change this. I'm in the team opportunity. It looks like they haven't been built out yet for teams, so that's a good note. So let me go back to my own personal pipeline here and show you what that could look like. Cue the Jeopardy question.
And why you're doing that, anything that is in dot loop that won't finish out, well, that's going, like new construction. I have a new build. It's probably not going to be finished until January, but all the other the documents were approved in dot loop. Am I going to have to get reapproval once I upload them to command? I see Jody shaking her head.
Yes. Yeah, anything that's not going to close by September 1st, you need to go ahead and start moving over to command and then just hit resubmit. If they've already been approved, it's going to be approved again.
Okay, thank you.
Swoop. And then somebody else had a question about what all buyer documents. So if they're not using a template and they're wanting to know what buyer documents for a consultation, then they just need to go to their compliance checklist and it'll tell you all of the mandatory documents that you will need for that buyer consult. And Jesse, I don't know if you can show them that real quick, but you know, go to consult and just show them what the checkbox, you know, the checklist looks like. So
it's like they're pushing updates because now it's hanging up. But that's okay. But yeah, there's a specific section. So under documents, on the left-hand side, you'll see folders. It'll say consultation, and then it'll say under contract, for example, if you're working with a buyer, it'll have different sections that you need to have. And under there, it'll have the form name, and it'll say whether it's required, optional, or conditionally required. So for your buyer disclosures, it'll say required, and all those 5 items that are required will be there. And it makes it really simple in terms of a checklist. You don't have to print out a checklist every single time like we used to and make sure that that doc is where it needs to be because it's already set in place. And it makes it easier for our compliance officers, our brokers, to, when they're doing the file review, to see, well, this is missing, that's missing, this is missing. It makes it super easy for them. Okay. But yeah, if that answers your question, it'll all be under the document section on the left-hand side.
And
if you need any other help with that, Amber, just let me know.
Okay, and for referrals outside, meaning I referred a client to another person in another state, how are we supposed to, are we supposed to upload those still or just wait? Are we just supposed to, I don't know.
You know, that's an excellent question. I don't have a great answer for referrals just yet. Unless Jody has some other information, I haven't heard anything specifically on external referrals.
Right. I mean, you're going to put them in as an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, so you can track your numbers and what percentage you're going to get on that opportunity if it comes to fruition, just to be able to track your numbers. But we need to turn in a referral form somehow, and we're still looking at where we're going to put that so that when a check comes in, the MCA knows who it belongs to because you've turned in a referral form for it. At this time, just send your signed, executed referral forms to the MCA so they know to watch for a check that's coming in for you.
Awesome. That's a good alternative. Thanks, Jody.
Yeah, and I'm sure that they'll have that on their radar to make sure that that's placed in the opportunity. So if you guys don't mind, I'll go ahead and show you that little piece that we were talking about for, since it's back up. Let me show you here under documents. It would be over here. Right, so residential resale, you see that drop down there? You got to select the correct one. There would be more forthcoming, but there's the consultation folder, and here is where you would place that document. Okay, and here's where it says required, optional, conditionally required, right? So it makes it pretty easy. There'll be other ones that'll say, you know, unincorporated or something, or
We're working on a new build file so that because the documents required are different. And so under that drop down, there will be a new build.
Yep,
And
right here.
there will be land because that'll be a different folder as well. So they're still working on putting those documents in there. So are putting the list together for you.
Mm-hmm. So when you're working on your transaction, since you have, you know, two different field or two different tabs open, I would say separate them out, right? Have them side by side. It's probably not demonstrating very well, but you would have it side by side. And then you would just look to your list there, what's required, add those required docs to your room, and go forward. Yeah, it'll be pretty simple. It's just a little process, a little tweak. And once we're there, it'll be easy. Okay, cool. So I'm going to go ahead and pause that. All right, so we are at 2:04. We're 4 minutes beyond 2 p.m. I want to thank everybody for being part of today's training. If you have any questions, feel free to email me at this email address in the chat box there, or Heather at tech. Okay. Or you can include both of us. I would suggest that. Include both of us. One might respond quicker than the other. It'll be just a bit, it's a bit easier to manage that way if we see it that way. But thanks so much. I hope I was able to give you a lot more clarity today. Join us for next week. And actually, if you're interested, we have the technology committee meeting happening in about 25 minutes. The link is at oneknwsa.com if you want to join us there. And tomorrow there is the Tech Boot Camp with Heather there. She will be going over the consumer app via Zoom. That begins at 3 p.m. And then Thursday, I will be back for Command Like a Boss, where we will actually be diving in a little bit more into the consumer side of Command. Specifically, we'll be going over websites, landing pages, and guide building. That begins at 1 p.m. So all the links will be available at oneknwsa.com, and I look forward to seeing you all there.
All right.
Have a great week, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye now.